So we wanted to look today kind of on this issue of death and dying and how we view that and why restoration matters. And so fear cannot support relationships. You can't be in relationship with someone and genuinely walk in love or safety or security if fear is present. Now, I want to qualify this in the sense that sometimes I would get upset when people would say, perfect love casts out all fear, because fear was very, very layered into my life. And so I would feel like when they would just glibly say that, it was like, well, you don't understand. I'm struggling with this. It's genuine. And I'm not feeling perfect love right now. And you just saying perfect love casts all of fear is not making me less fearful. And so just understanding we're all on a journey of taking off those layers of fear. And so we're not having to try to get there right now, but just to begin to know first here and then beginning to get it in here, how deeply loved we are.
Yeah.
And that there is nothing that we need to fear. And so many fear dying, even though we're Christian, because they aren't sure, like we were just talking about that. But when we understand the nature of God's love, we do not need to fear even death. Jesus called death being asleep. And so, this can be a little controversial. Different people have different beliefs about death and dying. But we just want to, present our perspective, not that we are correct or right in all of this, but just from our own experience, from our pastoral experience, and looking at immortality, because we've seen it presented in such a way that it produced more guilt, fear, and kind of an elitism. If you're not pressing into immortality, and if you happen to die, you failed and you are not first class in the kingdom. And that is not true at all.
So we're going to look at a few more verses here. So the mystery of life and death. 1 Corinthians 15:51 says, "Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep," remember, death, so we're not all going to die, "but we shall all be changed." So got to get that, really clear before we move on. It says that we will, we shall not all die, but we will all be changed. So we do believe and understand that there will be some toward the end who won't die, and that their bodies will be transfigured and transformed, and they'll be able to carry on. But as I've said many times before, number one, you cannot have a transfigured, transformed body until your mind is transfigured and transformed. Our thinking is going to prevent us from stepping into the fullness of that immortality of these current bodies. And again, this current body isn't going to make it, but it will be transfigured and transformed.
But loving this body, that's part of it.
Yes.
Because if we hate this body, but we're trying to get somewhere else, so we can get a brand new body, we're not stewarding what God has given us. And so why would he give us this immortal body if we're not taking care of this body?
Yeah, go ahead.
And so also that there is a difference, I believe, between spiritual life and death and physical life and death in Scripture. And oftentimes these are blurred, but if death is this horrible, bad thing, then why would the psalmist have said, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints"? And so if death was this big, bad thing that, we were supposed to avoid at all cost, why would God call it precious? And so, these are just things taking the whole of Scripture and processing through all of these together in a place of rest, and looking at, sometimes it can be exciting. Different people are saying this or that or this or that, and we go, yeah, let's go for immortality. But is it producing striving? Is it all focused on me? Is it producing an elitism? Because if it is, I don't believe it's the heart of God. And so those are just some things to walk through.
Well, and I just want to say too that what we're always going to come back to, because there's only one answer that makes any difference at all for anything, and that is your intimacy with Father. Your intimacy.